Well, welcome back, listeners and viewers of Let's Talk America Radio. I'm Shana, on air host and executive producer. Super excited today to introduce you to two amazing people many of you are already familiar with. Of course, you recognize, Hall of Famer NBA superstar Ray Allen. And he's with us with his lovely wife, Shannon. Now, I don't need to tell any of you sports fans that you know, like many former NBA players, that Ray Allen has had a lot of fond memories of those playoffs, right? And going on right now. But he recalls the 2008 NBA Finals for another special reason. It's when his 17-month-old son was diagnosed with diabetes. And today, he and his dynamic wife, Shannon, are on sharing some great information for all of us and encouraging all families out there. How are both of you doing today?
Great.
Awesome.
Great. Thanks for having us, Shana. Good morning.
Super excited to have both of you on. I've got to ask the question. Tell us about that very moment when you found out that your a beautiful son was diagnosed with diabetes.
Well, for me, if you think about my career from being a young kid, I always wanted to play in the NBA and I always wanted to win a championship and never knew if that day would come. And here I am in 2008. We had three children at the time, and Shannon is doing everything she can to just hold them at bay. We're excited there in LA, and we're just knowing that we're on the precipice of something great. That morning we were playing game 5 in LA, and just all week, I should say. First, Walker had been kind of in and out of just being sick. We didn't know what it was. So that morning of us playing game 5, it was a 7-game series. We talked about the night before, and I said, if he wakes up and he's still the same, take him to the hospital. And so she actually met with the hotel doctor, and he said, when you go to the hospital, just make sure you have his blood checked. And I get a call later on in the afternoon, and she tells me that, she has bad news that Walker has diabetes. And for me, that's when it switched, because you go from on this pathway to wanting to win an NBA championship, like you're so excited, you're nervous, like there's pressure, to being a dad, to figuring out what do I need to do for this son, this child. Now, like the team, they got to figure it out, because right now I need to figure out for him, because I'm his advocate and Shannon's his advocate. And we need to do what we need to do for him. And so it was rough waters that we had to navigate through, but in the same token, we were ready for the challenge.
Yeah, and you're so right. I mean, we wear so many hats, but Shannon, being a parent is that most important role. And as your husband said, we're their advocate. Shannon, what steps have you taken to manage Walker's condition?
A lot, honestly, Shana, and I'm sure you can imagine, and your listeners and viewers know as well. I mean, type 1 diabetes, or even if you're living with type 2, it's a roller coaster ride, lots of highs and lows. And when Walker was diagnosed, he was just 17 months old, as Ray said, and we were really thrown into a whole new life of being an advocate and an activist. We were really Walker's pancreas. And
Yeah.
when you love someone that's living with a serious medical condition, you have to and you want to do everything you can to make sure that they're not just surviving, but thriving. So Walkie was so little. I mean, we were pricking his fingers 7 to 10 times a day. We were mixing insulin. We were counting carbohydrates and weighing and measuring all of his food. People are stressed out right now about one vaccine shot during COVID. Walker was getting 10 injections a day. And every single time we gave him a shot, he cried. This was a baby. He didn't know what was going on. So you ask, what did I have to do? We had to do a lot, but I would do it again and again. And Ray and I both know we would take it from him in a heartbeat. But the most important thing I think that we've done is empowered him.
Yes.
Empowered him to understand that, yes, you have a life-threatening medical condition. Yes, you have an autoimmune condition. Yes, you need to be mindful and be an advocate for your own health and wellness. But also, it's creating this incredibly independent, resilient young man that is out to take on the world. And we're so incredibly proud of him. And it's one of the reasons why we've been so blessed and fortunate to team up with Abbott and to be able to let folks know about the Freestyle Libre 2, because it really has been a game changer for Walker. And it almost feels irresponsible to not share this part of the story, because it's given him a lot of freedom.
Yeah, I love that. And of course, with your popularity and your fame and your legacy, Ray, you're in a great position to really not just advocate for your son, Walker, but others out there, other
Mhm.
children and people living with
Yeah.
Yes.
type 1 as well, and also type 2, bringing more awareness to it. What has that journey been like to be able to use your popularity and fame to really put the spotlight on something so important, such as health conditions?
It's a great question.
Yeah, well, there's a huge responsibility with everything that's going on around the world. Um, I've been fortunate because people have supported me and they've come to games, whether we're traveling on the road or at home. And so people really cling to, the way I play basketball, the type of person that I've been my whole life. And so now they say, hey, I want to be like that, or I want my child to be that way. And so I know I can encourage other people to do the things that I've done in my life because I understood like the pathway that I walked. And so I spend my life trying to encourage people and inspire them to push into that mindset that I too can be better than I was yesterday. And so every small little thing that you can use, every tactical angle that you can push to try to get people to realize like you're better than you think you are.
Mhm.
Because somebody did that for me, a couple of somebody did that for me when I was younger. And so this is now an example because being such a public figure, like when we're going through things, I want people to know like I'm a normal person that goes through things just the same. But what allows me to overcome is and are the things and the people around me that give me the tools, the resources to be able to cling to and say, you know what, I can survive. I can help. My children can survive this crisis in our family or whatever it may be. And everybody has those same opportunities. We just have to reach out and grab these people, and ask the questions and seek the information and the knowledge.
And
And
yeah, and Shana, anytime you're dealing with something that's hard,
Yeah.
anytime you're dealing with challenges, if you have the blessing of being a public figure like Ray is, and you have access to a stage, you have to ask yourself this question. And we had to ask ourselves this question during 2008. People kept saying to us, "This is private. This is a medical issue. This isn't something you talk about. This is a personal family issue." And Ray and I were categorically against that thinking. It was like, wait a minute. We almost lost our son this week. If we have this stage and it felt like the whole world was watching. I know they weren't, but the NBA finals are right here. This is a disservice to people everywhere if we don't take this moment to say, hold up, some may right. We need to let folks know what the warning signs are. We need to let folks know what happened with Walker, that we almost lost him. And we need to share this because we could actually save someone's life. And by the grace of God, Walker was spared and he is thriving. And anytime you go through something that's challenging and you have an opportunity to share, when you do that, what you do is you empower folks on the other side of the camera, on the other side of the screen, to know that they aren't alone.
but that
And
is
it's so important.
that empowerment, what it does is when you push out into the atmosphere, good stuff, like you never know who you're encouraging or inspiring. And those people grow to be something that they didn't even imagine. And then in some indirect way, they bring that same inspiration back to you. So we need more people that think outwardly and not inwardly.
Yeah.
It's so
And
true.
we would encourage everybody, Shana, when they get a chance, there's so much information out there about diabetes, about autoimmune conditions, and certainly about, Walker's struggle with type 1 and our family's journey with type 1. But if you have type 1 diabetes, if you have type 2 diabetes, please visit freestylelibre2.us. Get a free sample of the Libre 2. Try it.
Okay.
It's given Walker such independence and freedom, and we encourage folks to do that as well.
Awesome. I love it. I love both of your commitment to your son and also to the community at large and sharing great information about a very serious health condition that is impacting and affecting thousands of children around this country. Ray, before we go, I've got to say, what's your current take on the playoffs? Do you have a pick?
I can't say that I have a pick. I think for the first time in a long time, it really looks as though there's going to be more parity, that anybody different from in the beginning of the year, everybody thought the Lakers, but I think, they've shown some inconsistency. So it's any man's show right now.
Yeah. And we are based in Atlanta. So we're going to give a big shout out to Atlanta Hawks. So go Hawks.
Okay,
Yeah,
let's
yeah,
go Hawks.
yeah, yeah.
Go Hawks.
Big win last night for the Hawks.
Shannon and Ray, what a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us here on
Yeah.
Let's Talk America
Thank
Radio.
you.
Stay safe, everyone, and continued blessings to you. Thanks, everyone, for
You too.
watching.
You're
God
welcome.
bless.
Thank you.
Thanks, Shana.
Thank you.
Thanks.